All right. Sorry about that. It took me a second to find the button, but thank you very much, Daryl. And I would like to say thank you, everyone, for joining me tonight. I know everyone has busy lives, things to do, and other places to be. So I do want to say thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to come hang out and listen to what I have to share with y'all. And I am very excited to share this with you. I think anyone could benefit from this, and I honestly think it's for anybody. And so, like Daryl said, my name is Kody Ashmore. Hello. I am Director of Weekly Option Strategies, obviously here at Simpler Trading. When I first started off, I was day trading 0DT SPX, which is probably kind of how I got to that title. And then now I'm just day trading futures with funded trading, which is pretty nice. And we'll talk more about that tonight. So let's go ahead and talk about how I got $187,000 from these prop firms. But first, before we talk about all that, quick disclosure. I'll let you take a moment to go ahead and look over this, but just like any other risk or anything like that you may read on online, that all past performance is not guaranteed future performance, and all trading has risks, as I'm sure y'all are all fully aware. All right, so now that that is out of the way, let's go ahead and get started. All right. All right, so I asked this in the chat a second ago, but now I have a question for you. Let me see some enthusiasm. Are you ready to see something extraordinary? Let me see some thumbs up, emojis, exclamation points. I don't care. Let's show me you're there. All right, we got some stuff. All right, we got some people there. Excellent. All right, let's let's be enthusiastic. This is something I'm very excited to share with y'all. All right, so first off, this is what you're going to discover tonight. I'm going to show you how I'm getting paid from what is quoted OPM or other people's Monday, which is nothing more than another term for funded trading or via all these other prop firms that I'm sure if you're here, you may have seen them online quite a bit. They've certainly gained popularity over the last few years. And I'm going to talk to you about why I think it's such a game changer, or why it really is, not really what I think. It really is a game changer. It's been a game changer for a lot of other traders out there. And I'm going to show you why my base hits for futures day trading has cracked the code, and I'm going to show you how I'm targeting anywhere from $10,000 to $40,000 a month, and I'm going to show you how to get funded and follow my trades in real time. All right, so first off, if you do not know who I am, my name is Kody Ashmore, like I said. If you don't know how I became a trader, my story is a little bit different. I would consider it unique, maybe even. So if you've already heard the story, just bear with me because I think it's unique. And if I could figure this out, I really do believe anyone could figure this out. If one of y'all happen to know me in high school, I don't know, maybe someone from high school sees me in here, but I will say, um, like I wasn't like some crazy genius. I was a skater boy, like they used to say back in the early 2000s. But anyways, when I was in high school, I joined the Marine Corps, right? And so right after I graduated high school, shipped off to boot camp and whatnot, and then ultimately ended up doing 2 tours in Iraq. So why is that important? Well, when I got out, I ended up becoming a paramedic, and then I ended up tying those two skill sets together and ended up becoming what is called basically a high threat contractor. And I did that for a very long time. And in 2015, my first son was on his way. And there was a lot of guys on my team where they were like they were stuck overseas, so kind of like in this hamster wheel, like they couldn't get out. Like they're making so much money, but they couldn't really go home to be with their family either because of taxes and stuff like that. So they kind of got stuck. Well, I didn't want that to be for me. So while other people were watching movies and playing Xbox, what I was doing is I was trying to learn how to trade. And the way I learned to trade is also very different, is because our internet was blocked. It wasn't like I could get on YouTube. I couldn't watch courses. I actually had to go to a local and I give him cash, and then he would go and get a mobile hotspot and put data on it for me. And I would connect my tablet to it, and I would try to learn as much as I can from spotty data and learn to trade that way. And so that's where my trading journey started. And ultimately, in 2016, it was, I believe, April 2016, I applied to a prop firm. So that's how long I've been in this game. I mentioned that because I've been in the prop firm game long before these futures online prop firms started showing up. So and then, like I said, in 2016, started trading with a prop firm. And then from there, I just hit the ground running, right? And I was up in Afghanistan up until the evacuation, and here I am now, getting to hang out with everyone here at Simpler. So I point that out to you is I learned how to trade in a not ideal environment. I also became a prop trader a very long time ago. So I know the industry pretty well in and out and kind of like how they run. So let's go ahead and get started or dive any deeper here. So here's my prop firm payout. And I share this with you once again, just to show that I've been at this for a long time. So my very first one here, just coming email from my CEO right here. You see it's dated from June 20th, 2018. And yes, I did grind it out for 2 years before taking a payout because I wanted to build a big enough buffer. And because my goal is like whenever I first started trading the prop firms and everything, my goal wasn't to get Lamborghinis or mansions or whatever. My goal was to buy back time. I wanted to be home with my family. I wanted to be able to be there to watch my kids grow up. Well, at the time, it was my one kid. Now I have three of them, but I'm still trying to figure out where they come from. But they the point was to be able to be there for my family, and I have obtained that. All right, so. All right, how I made $187,000 in 12 months. So I want you to do this. I want everyone to close their eyes. Yes, I mean you. You're not doing it. Close your eyes. Now, I want you to imagine that Thinkorswim paper trading account that you've been rocking and rolling on. You've been kicking butt on. You're like, I am the world's greatest trader. I want you to imagine actually getting payouts from that. It's kind of possible, kind of, right? And I'll elaborate that on a little bit. I want you to simply just imagine getting paid to have a funded simulated account, and I'll explain what that is. And then before I touch on that, I also want you to know you could actually get started for a very small amount, less than 50 bucks, depending on where you go. So what exactly is funded simulation, right? What exactly does that mean? So these prop firms, typically, once you pass an evaluation, unless you do like a straight to funded version, nonetheless, it's still a simulated funded account. You literally are paper trading. However, you still get paid from it. You still take payouts, like the cash hits your bank account, and so essentially, it's real trading. Me personally, I could care less if it's actually hitting the market or not. All I care is that money is sitting in my bank account, and I'm sure y'all could feel the same way. So that's what funded simulation is. You're paper trading and a simulated account, obviously. However, you take real payouts from it. And like I said, you get started for a very small fee, and I really just think it's almost I do think about this quite often, and the reasons for not to use prop firms is very limited. I see more upside than downside, more pros than cons. Okay, so if you've been around social media a while, like I said, all these, especially when this whole affiliate craze hit the market, if you've seen it, I used to pride myself quite a bit on being a prop trader, but when all this stuff kind of like hitting the market, it's kind of like, oh, now they're just a dime a dozen. And you will see on social media a lot of these outsized wins. And the outsized wins are great. However, you never know if those traders actually take a payout. Like they had a great day today. However, they blew the count, they bought more, then they're buying more, So that is why I want to share with you. These are actually for my big statement. These are the payouts hitting my bank account, right? And you see some from Apex there, and then the Rise ones that's from Tradeify. Also, I do want you to know is like I talk a lot about trading as a business. You see here, they're paying my LLC. They're not paying me. I talk a lot about trading as a business, and when you're doing the prop firm route, you really do get those benefits as trading as a business as well. All right. So what exactly is funded trading? So you are essentially trading other people's money. And like the process, the way it works is typically you go to whatever firm you may like, and I'll talk about that here in a little bit, but whatever firm you may like, you pay a fee. And on this fee, it's basically a test. You have a chance to prove yourself. You're paying for an application, basically. You're paying and it's a small fee. And then if you prove you can hit a profit goal, so you manage your drawdowns and you hit a profit goal, and then after that, you get funded in a simulated funded account, and then you're there for a little bit, and then you go to a live account. So basically, you're paying for an opportunity to trade with someone else's money versus your own. So for me, I typically hang around anywhere from 10 to 20, 50K accounts. Usually I have, if it's the 50Ks, I have 20 of them. That is, we'll call it $1 million of uh, simulated money, basically. And then from there, to get that amount, I risked a total of about $2,000. And in my first 90 days, I turned it into 41,000. So even if you had a small account, you can see I'm well above what I risked, and now I just keep on pushing it. And this was a year ago whenever I started off with the $2,000, took it to 41, and now we're at 187. You see how it just keeps on growing. And the firm industry is just getting larger as it is anyways. And also, I do want you to know is like, okay, I have these 20 accounts. Like, God, Kody, that's a lot of clicking. No, don't worry about that. Actually, there are trade copiers. There are some, if you're going to trade more than one firm, there are third-party ones you have to use. But if you're going to trade at one firm, there's no additional cost needed. You actually just use the platform that they give you, and then you just sync those accounts, and then it'll send it to all the accounts, basically. So you're only clicking the button once is the main thing I'm going to get through. It's not, you're not sitting through all accounts clicking the buttons, because that would just be, to be honest, that'd be too much. I'd be exhausted. So just wanted to point that out to you. And whenever you have this many accounts, your leverage is astronomical. And I'll elaborate on that a little bit here. So are you starting to see why this is kind of like a game changer? What do y'all think? What are y'all driving with? You think it's great, sounds cool, interested, still not getting it? Tell me what y'all think. All right. So why use funded trading? That's a fantastic question. I get asked this question quite a bit, actually. Like, why use funded trading? Well, one main reason for me, I'll get my pen here so I can go ahead and just write it out for you. All right, so why funded trading? All right, so say you're a very wealthy individual already. But just say you already have, we'll just call it $200,000. You're like, yeah, man, I don't need this. I have $200,000 already. Why would I need this? Well, technically, you don't. I honestly, you're right. You don't need it. However, the way I look at this is I'd rather go ahead and trade some funded accounts, right? Some funded accounts. And I'm going to take this, I'm going to let it work for me somewhere else. So, like, what do I mean? Well, if you still want to trade, be very, very active in your trading. That could be your options trading account. Or you can put it into some real estate, get an Airbnb, get some rentals. The possibilities are endless. But the point is instead of having your money tied hostage inside a trading account, it could work for you somewhere else, and you can still day trade like you want to. So now you have two incomes instead of one. And it doesn't have to be tied to the market. You could let it work on the back end somewhere else, something more consistent and passive, less hands-on, right? Nothing's better than making money than not doing anything. But that is why I personally think funded trading is a great game changer. And also, your money is not at risk, right? And so the risk is only what you pay for the evaluation. Say you bought it for 50 bucks, you're going to lose $50. That's it. And if I had my $200,000 account up, I mean, there is quite a big possibility I could go on tilt and blow all $200,000. And I don't want that. I don't have to explain that to my wife. I'd rather just be like, yeah, I lost 50 bucks. It really does minimize risk and then it offers almost unlimited upside potential. So that is one, I won't say one, but it's just one of the many things I think it is a complete game changer. All right. So, secret number one, right? All right. How I got funded. Well, I want to say how I got funded. How does anyone get funded, right? Or why don't they get funded? That's a better question. Why don't most traders get funded? I talk to a lot of traders. Some traders have a hard time. A lot of it is, okay, you're having the wrong trading mindset and also the wrong strategy. And what works is very counterintuitive. And the reason I say that is because there is with the rise in these prop firms that suddenly showed up, like I initially started when I was overseas, I started learning to day trade stocks. I would say there's a pretty good possibility that most traders are watching these old school day trading stock videos and bringing them to the futures market. However, when you're day trading stocks, you need stocks with a large catalyst to get you these outside moves, to have this huge risking one to make five type situations. Those are great situations when they occur. However, in the futures market, if there's no large data coming out or nothing to move the market around, you may not get that. So that's why you need the right mindset to create the right expectations on how the day is going to be. You can't just always look for that huge risk reward, right? So you got to really have the right mindset and strategy for this. And another one is not understanding the rules of the prop firm. You really need to understand the rules, the type of strategy that can go with those rules. And because if you don't follow the rules, you're not going to get funded. Just like anything else, you have to follow the rules in order to get the reward, right? And yes, it is possible to get funded in less than 3 days. And I know I've been given these examples from large accounts or large multiple accounts, but you can just start with one account. You can start with one, get that proof. In fact, you should start with one if you've never done it before. Just start with one, get that first payout, buy some more accounts, and then now say you bought one, and then say you buy four more. Boom, now you got five. You get another payout, boom, then you got 10. And then you just see you really scale it like that, and then you just really the profits is essentially unlimited, right? As long as you're consistent and you have your plan. And oh, I almost forgot one important thing I wanted to tell y'all. I'm so sorry. If you do stick around to the end, I do have a very cool surprise for y'all. Just want to say it. Saying it now. Almost forgot, but I remembered. Stick around. I have a surprise for you at the end of this. All right. So I talked about getting funded. And one thing is, okay, so there are some firms out there that, where you get funded in one day. A Top Step makes 2 days. Take Profit Trader makes 5 days. Tradeify does require one day. And it could be said, hey, Kody, that's maybe you could have just got lucky, or maybe the strategy was just lucky. Well, I want to show you this, that look, Take Profit Trader, I have been funded on every firm on the minimum amount of days, right? I didn't get lucky for 5 days in a row. 5 days, went up, boom, got funded because I hit the threshold. Tradeify, I have these 5 accounts, got funded in one day. Next, here is on this particular day, the market was all over the place. Actually, how this day actually went was the market was moving well. I got funded these 20 accounts. I was like, man, this market is moving. I'm gonna go buy 5 more of Tradeify. And then boom, got those funded the same day. So in one day, I got 25 accounts funded. All right, and then here is Top Step, and yes, the Top Step has this funny. Well, I won't say it's funny. It makes sense that they have a 50% consistency rule to where one day cannot be greater than 50%. So they say get funded in 2 days. You may sometimes, depending how close you get to the line, you might have to make it 3. So that's why I got up close, and then boom, just a little bit of had to make a little bit extra cash to prove it there, but nonetheless, still within the amount of time. All right, so these are the 4 firms I personally trade with. I got Apex, got Tradeify, Top Step, and Take Profit Trader. They all have their own realm of rules. And that is the main thing here is you need to be understanding of what all of the rules are in order for them, in order to pass them and get funded and get paid from them. And the key to that is having the strategy that is built around these firms, the right tools and strategy for it. So before you apply, now I want you to stop and think about that. Before you apply, what does that make you think of? If someone says before you apply, okay, well, it's like a job, right? All right, so it is like a job. So you are essentially getting a job with a firm. So, but with that, as long as you can prove you can follow a trading plan and you can follow the rules, that means you can work where you want, how often you want. Like you don't have to trade every day, and where you want. You can literally trade from anywhere. All you need is the internet connection in your laptop, or maybe even a phone. Some people that trade larger time frames, they use their phones. That works as well. So just think about that before you apply for these jobs. You need to know the rules, the expectations, if you will, of the firm that you're going to go potentially partner with. Choose one that matches your system. And if you want to get paid, follow the rules. It's as simple as that. And like any trading strategy, like I mentioned earlier, start with one and then just scale it up from there. And the key is having a system that aligns with funded trading. All right. So, secret number 2, base hits, not home runs. I will say no one has ever. Actually, let me ask you all this. I'm just thinking about this now. Let me ask you all this. Has a trade, say it's going in your favor, and you think, what if it keeps going? And you held on, and then it turns into a loser, and then it keeps on going down, and then it's a much bigger loss, and it just That was like, then you're thinking, man, I should have just closed it. Has that happened to any of y'all? I'll raise my hand. It's happened to me. It really has. All right. So that's why you got to focus on base hits. You do want consistent gains. You don't want large losses, and you need a system aligned with the funded trader route. And how does this work? So this actually, you know what? I'll circle back around this as I continue on. But just think about that. That is a very frustrating situation when it runs without you, right? Or sorry, it went up and you think what if, and it pulls down, and then you're at a loss. It is very frustrating. We'll talk about more about that here in a little bit. I'm gonna keep on trucking. All right. So we talked about a little bit. You can trade from anywhere you want. Little do you know, this webinar was getting a little sketchy. There was a construction down the road. They ended up cutting the main internet fiber cord to the neighborhood, and my neighborhood's been out of internet for the last 2 days. Luckily, they got it up today. And so, however, I still want to trade. I need to make my money. So I went down to Starbucks. And right here, while sitting in Starbucks, I made $3,400 in one day while sitting there, and all I had to do was sip on my pumpkin cream cold brew. Yes, I'm a cold brew guy, not a latte guy, cold brew guy. And all I did was wait for my one high probability to set up, look for my quick area to take profit, and then I was done. Then I shut it down and walked away. In fact, people were like, "What's that guy doing?" Because I have my travel monitor, my laptop up, and people can see my charts. Obviously, when people know it involves money, people are always like, "What's that guy doing?" But anyways, anywhere you are, as long as you have internet and a laptop, you can essentially trade. So think about that. Let me ask y'all, what would be the craziest place you think you would trade at? Where would that be? If you could do it from anywhere. The bathroom? I mean, it could have cruise ship, anything like it could be happen anywhere, right? Oh, I did see public Wi-Fi risky. Sure, it's risky. I had a VPN. However, the most I could lose is the debit paid, but that was a risk I was willing to take. Here's another trade example. Made $2,000, right? Waited for one high probability trade, looked for my entry, took it down on my quick target, made $2,000. One trade, one high probability setup. And I know these are showing really big numbers, like 2,000. That's not really a whole lot whenever it's leveraged across multiple accounts. This one right here was done on 5 accounts. So I made 400 bucks on 5 accounts. Boom, $2,000. So consistent gains across multiple accounts equal big consistent gains, right? So if you have 20, we'll just use the example of 20, you make $100, that is $2,000. And here's another thing too. Like, have any of y'all traded micros before? And then like it feels, I don't know about y'all, but if I trade a micro, I feel like when it's moving against me, it feels so small. Like it's almost eh, it's not doing anything. It could be because everyone has a different risk tolerance and a risk muscle that grows. I mean, I used to only try to get 200 bucks a day, right? However, your risk muscle grows, but whenever it's just barely moving, you could risk 50 bucks to make 100 bucks. And even if you lost 50 bucks trying to make 100 bucks, you'd be like, just lost 50 bucks. And that's and you still have a huge drawdown to keep going. You're like, all right, wait for the next one. Then a consistent $100 across those 20 accounts, this is 2 grand. And then you build that up, and then boom. If you have 20, and if you're doing an Apex, that's a $40,000 payout at the end of the month. If you hit the profit goal, if you scale up or whatever, it could be 20 or 10,000, it could be anything. But you can leverage these accounts or these little gains over multiple accounts that really help you. And there's a pretty good psychology hack on this too. It really does. If I am down, say like $100, $200, sure, multiply that across 20 is the same thing. But mentally, I'm like, I can make $200 back on the next trade. Not a big deal. Like you're not thinking, oh my gosh, I'm down $4,000. Gotta keep going. No, I just think, 200 bucks. I can make it up again, right? All right. So let's keep on trucking. All right. So this is a very common thing. Like a lot of people have asked us like, well, what if you lose? No, 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 don't. Like if you say you get funded and you lose the account, like do you have to pay the money back? No, you don't. If you lose the account, all you lost was the amount of money you paid to get started. So like we use my example from the beginning where I said I paid $2,000 to make the 41. That was how I started off this whole shindig. Well, if I would have blown those accounts and lost them, then I would just lost $2,000. I wouldn't have to pay all the money back or anything like that. Like the only it's kind of like options. If you've ever traded options before, then it's just your risk is the debit paid. If you're buying like a long call or put, say it costs you $1, you're gonna risk $100. That's it. So just remember, and if you do lose it, all you have to do is buy more. You get to try. It's like a reset button. It's like playing a video game, right? You get to hit the reset button and try again. That's it. You get a second chance. All right. And sometimes home run trades don't present themselves. And I just have to like emphasize on this because I feel like so many people are looking for home run trades. And a lot of times they may not present themselves and you're just going to get hurt or caught up or taking losses when you don't have to because you're looking for something that's not going to be there. Just like I talked about that day trading earlier, you need a catalyst, you need the right situation, you need a broken slot machine, as it's been said by some pretty well-known individuals, in order to make that profit goal like that. But sometimes you just get your base hits, and base hits are okay when trading futures. And then when you're leveraged like that, those base hits add up, right? That's why focusing on base hits and having your expectations set up at the right way really is a game changer and may help your funded trading journey if you're having a hard time. All right, secret number 3 is cracking the code with trend precision. All right, so me personally, I trade anywhere from about hour, 2 hours in the morning, and I just try to target anywhere from $100 to $400 a day. Sure, sometimes I get a lot more than that, but if I'm there and say the market's not really, say the market's like choppy, I'm just not jiving with the market. Like sometimes it happens. Like sometimes you just don't feel in the groove of the market. It happens. If you haven't been trading long enough, it will happen to you, which is where everything just seems nothing's aligning. And if that happens, and you just take your $100, $400 a day, that's still anywhere from $10 to $40,000 a month. I'm hoping one day to get more than that. However, I haven't got that, but that is my goal. And but just remember, having the counterintuitive system and these base hits at the right times really add up. All right, here's a trade example. Right here, another $4,500 a day. All it took was some a precision entry, a disciplined exit, and then a high probability trade. And then boom, I mean, locked it up. And then I closed the computer down and then I went and lived my life. I personally don't think it's a great thing to stay at the computer and trade all day. If you are trading at the computer all day and you haven't been funded, I bet you're over trading. Just gonna call it like it is. That's probably what's happening. But just a quick high probability trade, leverage over multiple accounts equals a really large trading day. Here's another one. This is so like this one, like the risk reward was obviously higher here, right? Let's go to the other one. This one, you can see the market was kind of like hard to read, right? It wasn't like it went up and down depending on what you're kind of doing here. And this was a $600 per account, so 3 grand days across 5 accounts here. And then I just took it off support back up to VWAP. That's a high probability trade. If you're not familiar with VWAP, I'll just tell you it's a balance of buyers and sellers. And usually algorithms and other traders are looking to either go with the trend there. It's going to be reactive. And to me, sure, it may blast through it and keep running, but I don't know if it's going to. I'd rather take my quick win. All right, $600 per account. All right, good enough. I am out. Go live my best life. And you should too. That's why we're here, right? We're all here to live our best life. I know you want to. All right, here's another one. So another same setup, right? Price pulled down, got my entry long, close it at the target, boom, $4,000 a day. And I got to ask you a serious question here. Are you getting this? Are you seeing the power of being leveraged, having a high probability setup, and how it just can multiply itself? As long as you're disciplined and know when to walk away and follow your trading plan rules, then this is possible for anyone. You just have to know when to do it, how to do it, basically when to do it and everything, right? All right, so this is an example of the leverage over 25 accounts. I had 25 accounts at this one time, and I was just on fire at this time. And it was just rocking and rolling. And the main point here is that, yes, it just looks crazy going up, right? But this is the power of having multiple accounts, and this isn't going for huge home runs. This is just going for anywhere from $200 to $500 a day, just compounded over multiple accounts, and then it just grows up like that. If you just take that quick win, like obviously have a trading plan, know when to get in, watch your risk, have your targets, but nothing is wrong with those quick base hits over multiple accounts where they really add up and you have gains like that. Okay, so all I'm targeting is small moves. I don't need really big moves to make big money, and that's really great for my trading psychology. Sometimes, the market isn't going to do what you want, and that's okay. But taking those quick base hits happen almost every single day in every single market. It works at up and down markets and high or low volatility markets. There's always a pivot point to where you could take that quick base hit. The question is, do you have the tools and know where to look for them and know how to do them? But this is how I'm trading like a business. All right. My profit is leveraged and I have a peace of mind. Sounds pretty cool when I say that, right? Is that something you're interested in? And this whole hack transformed the way I trade, right? It does almost feel like paper trading because in the end, if it does go to zero, you really are kind of like, um, if it does go against you and then it like, let's just say you blow the account. Sure, that is no one wants to do that. Sure. However, you do have that feeling in the back of your head of thinking, do you know what? Even if it does, it's okay. I'm just gonna buy another one and rinse repeat. So it does kind of feel like paper trading. I love that my own capital is never at risk. I love that because I could always fund another account in a couple of days and then just keep on rinse repeating and keep going. Sure, we're all going to have a bad day, but there is something to be said to know that, hey, your risk is limited. All right, now can you imagine getting paid to paper trade instead of risking your own capital? I'm telling you, it's a game changer. So I've already mentioned how I'm targeting $10,000 to $40,000 per month while leveraging these prop firms. You can start with one account, have your $100, $400 day and just grow it from there. Then you buy some more, then you have your 10 and 20. And you don't need me to repeat this. Like you see here, and hopefully I'm saying this clearly and help you understand that remember, the upfront fee is limited, which is where your risk is, and then your profit potential is unlimited. It's based on you. How well can you trade is your profit potential, and your risk is literally what you pay. All right. And then, all right. So, do you want my help? I'm sure you do. All right. I'll show you how to get funded step by step. I'll teach you my funded trader system. I'll get you my exact charts and indicator settings. And you can follow my trades live for 4 weeks, looking over my shoulder, seeing how I get funded fast, seeing how I trade, how I view the market, how I narrow down to which futures product I want to trade. I don't just trade like one. I don't like. There's a lot of trades like I only trade NQ. I only trade ES. Like I like to look at all the markets. And sometimes like when the indices are just chopping, I'll look at oil or gold. Hey, maybe they're moving, and then you could have the same setup there, and you could trade that. You don't have to be so focused on one. And remember, the worst thing that could happen is you could lose the cost of the account, which is anywhere from $50 or less. And obviously, there is some more that cost more, but however, that's when you're going for those really big accounts. And this is what I've done. I started last year with 2 grand. I've rolled it up to 41, and here I am 12 months later, I'm at a 187, and who knows where I'll be next time. And there are some traders that have done way better than I have, which is amazing. Like there's been multiple $1 million payouts from Apex here recently, which is fantastic. So lives are being changed with this, and I don't think you want to miss this opportunity. Here are just a few testimonials from individuals that have taken this class with me, or not this particular class, but have traded futures with me live before. And I'll just go ahead and quick read them. So Stephanie says she looks at our journals of the trades and she's impressed. Then I'm even more impressed knowing that these are my trades. I still get excited when it works correctly. Thank you, Kody. You're welcome, Stephanie, if you're here. Hope you're doing well. And then Sam, I've really gotten a lot out of your class and I'm grateful for you taking time to show us amateurs a new way to trade. I just hit a milestone on 20 Apex accounts, and I'm taking the rest of the day off, as you should once you're funded. Just, hey, wait for the next day and get it going, right? Okay, so here it is. All right, so take advantage of this special offer. Before I even get started, what exactly was the surprise? So the first 70 purchasers are going to get a free Apex account of any account size. You could choose the $25,000 account all the way up to the $300,000 account. Choice is yours to pick. I will say it's free for the first month. So either hit your goal there, or it's going to be 50% off on the recurring months after that, and it is 50% off up until you cancel the evaluation. So if you are not a member of Simpler Trading, this is $497. And if you are a member, you're going to get $100 off of this. So make sure you are logged into the website in order, and make sure you're seeing the correct pricing on your end. And with this, what exactly are you going to get? You're going to get the funded trader system, which is I'll cover that here in a moment. So you basically it's the ins and outs of all funded trading that I have. You get 4 weeks of live trading. That's 3 days a week. It'll be Monday, Wednesday, and Friday where we get together and trade. Why not every single day? Because you need a chance to trade on your own. So you could come back and ask questions whenever I come back the next day. That's the only way you're going to get better. Like the goal is not to just always rely on me. The goal is for you to be able to make your decisions and also not rely on me. Do your own thing, right? That's ultimately the ultimate goal. It's not just rely on me the whole time. But so you figure out where you have questions, and then we build on it from there. And then you get the Trend Precision Indicator Bundle. So, and then if you already have the Trend Precision Indicator Bundle, some of you may already have it. If you do, then just to be with me in the Funded Trader System class and another 4 weeks of trading live with me is going to be $350. And like once again, the first 70 purchasers will get a free Apex account. Okay. So I already talked about it here. If you get the package, if you're not a member before 97, you get the Funded Trader System class, which will be happening on September 20th from 12 to 4 p.m. And you'll see how I'm targeting these quick gains, leverage through multiple accounts. And this will be starting on September 22nd on Monday after we take the class on the 20th. And that'll be a great spot to get all your questions answered. And also, you'll be receiving the ultimate guide to the funded trader course with every bundle. And this is where it's almost like the prerequisites to the class. I would suggest you watch these before you come to the class. That way you have a good foundation before you start diving into the strategy, right? So this answers actually quite a few questions you may already have, and it's set a solid foundation. And that way on Saturday, we're narrowing down all of the strategy stuff versus just the firm stuff. All right, so what exactly is this Trend Precision Bundle? I am glad you asked. This is what it is right here. So what this is, let me get my pin. All right, so first off is the ATR Cloud. What is ATR Cloud? I have this one up here and this one down here. You can see how price kind of stays contained in there. And then from there, I have my trend precision candles. And what these do is they highlight when trend and momentum is on a certain direction on another time frame. So the way this kind of works is, so one of the very first indicator, or when I was a customer of Simpler, long before I joined the team, I was in Afghanistan. I was like, oh yeah, they had this 10x bars on steroids class. I was like, oh, and I actually day traded futures with it while I was overseas. However, I noticed a few things that needed to be worked on. So this is kind of like what I built based off of that strategy I was trading a long time ago. However, I just narrowed it down to a little bit of a quicker time frame. So like when they're, you get to choose whatever color you want them to be, but I have them kind of like this orange color. Tells me higher time frame trend and momentum is going down. And then whenever it's grayed, that means there is no trend or momentum. And then whenever they turn blue, that means, hey, bullish momentum is stepping in. Also, you may notice these little dots. This tells you when there is greater than 50% of the average volume coming in. And so whenever that comes in, you can see like you got a quick flush down, and that kind of tells you, when more volume comes in, typically you get a little bit of a push. And then on top of that, you get the higher time frame EMA cloud. So what this is just EMAs from a higher time frame printing onto a lower time frame. And you can see whenever you have your EMA cloud and you have your trend precision candles and the ATRs all put together, you can see how you can catch some solid moves without having a whole bunch of charts up. All right. And so if this is something you're interested in, and if you're wanting to, now you could use interest-free payments with PayPal credit. If you for 0 interest for 6 months, if that's something you're interested in, if that is more of your jam, if you want to put it on credit and then use 0 free interest for 6 months. All right, so I understand you got questions. That is fantastic. I am here for them. And If you have any other questions pertaining to like the logistical backside of this, I would suggest and like to point you to go ahead and call 512-266-8659 as we have all 50 staff members ready to accept your calls. And if you would rather email, you can email support@simplertrading.com if you have any questions as well. All right. So here it is again. Like I said, the non-member pricing is $497. You get the class, you get the trend precision indicator bundle, and 4 weeks live trading with me. Side note, I forgot to mention, the trend precision bundle is on TradingView only. Kody, why TradingView only? Well, TradingView offers things that thinkorswim doesn't quite use or work on very well, in my opinion. So it's only available on TradingView, and that is where the indicators are located and what they'll be available on. And on top of that, like I mentioned, the first 70 purchasers will get a free Apex account. If you are going to hop on and ride along with me on this, in order to receive your evaluation, your free one, that is, you should be receiving an email in the morning with your instructions on how to receive your account. And like I said already, if you have the trend precision indicator already, this is the pricing for you just for the class and the live trading to hang out with me once again. All right, so here are some common questions. I want to get these common questions asked, and then I'm going to go ahead and see what questions that have been asked through the chat. The staff has been taking note of them, and they're going to start feeding on my way, and I'll be more than happy to answer anything that's not very clear to you. So, getting started. Funded trading just on a simulation account, just like I mentioned earlier, so the funded trading is going to be your paper trading in a simulated account. However, you can get paid from that simulated account. And another thing is like people are like, well, how do I even get paid from that? Well, there are some people that don't take the time, unlike yourselves. You guys are here learning to take advantages. You're learning a skill set. Some people just buy and go and treat it like a casino. And if they're treating it like a casino, they're having to pay and pay and pay for evaluations. And that is honestly kind of what you're getting paid from. And also from the live traders. Once you get to the live trading side, the firm's actually making money from putting your orders into the market. But for the most part, it's just coming from those individuals that are just acting like it's a casino. And that is how you make your money from there. And you need to make money every day? No, you do not. And then, so you get to trade how you want and when you want, as often as you want. It is up to you. There is no, for the most firms, there is no requirement. I haven't seen one anyways, and I don't want to be a liar. So I would say at least make sure you're aware of all the rules that are being, that you're looking to play with as you choose to go with the firm. And how do you get paid? It depends which firm you go with. Top Step and Apex, they do like a direct deposit. Tradeify does Rise. They all do have various different payment methods, but that is essentially how you get paid. And then, do you have to pay back losses? Like I mentioned earlier, no, you do not. There is no losses you have to pay back. All you have to do is actually nothing. You just, the loss is the debit you paid. And what if you've never been profitable? That is not a bad thing. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to help you become profitable. And if you're not, I want to help you become profitable. And so that is not a disqualifier. Like if you're not, it's okay. We can work through it. Let's get you squared away to where you are. And yes, new traders qualify. I've never seen a firm say, no, you can't do this because you're new. I've never seen a firm say that at all. So no, that is not a problem at all. And you definitely do not need 20 accounts. If you're new to this, just start with one. In fact, even like if you have a small account, you get, say you have $500. And the old small account thing would put that $500 in an options account because you could buy an option for $100. Well, now you take $50 of that $500 and then you try to grow that. And once you get a payout, then you can buy more, and then you get another payout and you buy more. And all you risked essentially was that $50, and now your profits are just growing from that one risk you took. And how long does it take to get funded? That's trader dependent. For me personally, right now, it's taking me anywhere from a day to 2 to 3 days. But that depends on market conditions, and that depends on a whole lot of other factors. But that is typically how long it takes me anyways. All right, so I want to go over here. Let's see what's cracking over here. Scroll on down. Where we're looking at where my Q&As. Here we go. All right. All right, let's see here. Thomas, can I save the free funded account for later after I paper trade for a few months? Okay, so Thomas, you're talking about the Apex ones, I would imagine. Those actually expire October 31st. So you essentially have 2 months first before you have to activate it. But those will expire in 2 months on October 31st. Do they take a VIG once funded? Dave, that is a fantastic question. And the fact you're asking that tells me you've been a part of Simpler for a while. Yes, once you're funded, when you're taking now they're all kind of transitioning to the sim funded side. Most of them actually only take 90-10. So they take 10%, you take 90 is how it's typically. The only one that's at 80-20 right now is Take Profit Trader, but that's because once you're funded and you're above a certain threshold, they allow you to take a profit daily. Like every day you can take a payout. And then it just hits your bank account. But the flip side of that is 80-20. And a lot of people um a lot of people like oh 90-10, 80-20. When I started at that prop firm in 2016, my pay split was 30-70. And then there's a pretty well-known prop firm around here that actually is substantially way different than that. I'm talking like 50-50. And so the point is those are still some pretty good numbers in my opinion. But yes, it's usually a 80-20 to 90-10 split. That is correct, Dave. So answered. Shiny object. I like your handle there. Have I been rejected payments by Apex consistently for a similar trade style? Shiny object? No, I have not. Um, there was only one time where I know I have been denied by Apex, and that was actually because I had a series of losing trades. I'm like, okay, and then I had about $300 left. And for me personally, whenever I get to a point to where I'm like, okay, the account's either going to blow or go, like I could either try to risk $50 and try to milk it higher. Me personally, I'd rather just, I'm gonna risk this $300. If I make it, great. If I don't, okay. And in this particular case, um, I hit it with some a large amount of NQ contracts and got it all the way up again. And when they didn't, and they denied my payout request, which I knew they would, because what happened was I went large outside my consistent position size. But however, they denied the payout. Cool, but at least I'm off the line where I'm going to lose my account. Now I just trade again for 8 days, following the rules, and then I take a payout again then. So it's not like I lost the account and lose it. No, they just say no. Okay, cool. At least I'm no longer going to lose the account. Trade for 8 more days, and then boom, request again. So that's the only time I've actually been denied by them. So I answered that one. It's that one. All right, man. Y'all guys are cracking, crank it out answers right there. All right, how to keep trading with me after the 4 weeks? That is a fantastic question, and that is to be determined. At the most part, you'll be able to see me here at Simpler Trading. I trade live in the Master and Trade Room at the moment. Where we go after that, we'll have to see at the end of the 4 weeks. Unfortunately, I do not have a straight answer for that at the moment. Okay, so I'm looking for any other questions that need to be answered. And no, BB, this is actually a completely different class. And yes, I could actually absolutely show you how to use TradingView. To the best of my knowledge, I am no TradingView expert, but I definitely use it enough to where I can get around and go from there. And let's see, any private mentorship programs for just working with a prop firm trading futures? No, at the moment, no. At the moment, it's just as far as like a mentorship, it will simply just be these live 4 weeks with me. And that's where I'd say you get the most bang for your buck, right? And I think it's a great setup, right? You get to trade with me, trade on your own on Tuesday, formulate your questions, come back Wednesday. and we could build you up from there. And also, y'all will have access to my email. You can send me email with questions. I love to help you out. If you're a serious individual learning, wanting to trade, I'm all about helping you. That I don't mind helping at all with that type of someone that is willing to put in the effort and willing to push and actually learn. And what times I normally trade? I trade the open. Usually the first hour to 2 hours of the day, usually. Idaho Bruce, we cannot use bots. Sorry, sir. No bots at the moment. And then if you get down a certain amount in a trade, do they force you to close the position? The only time they deactivate you is actually if you go below your threshold. That's it. And it depends what firm you go to. So let's just say you're trading at Top Step. You'll have a daily loss limit. Let's say you close the daily loss limit or you hit below that daily loss limit. They will close your position and then you'll have to come back the next day and then trade again. Or you don't have to come back the next, you'll have another day to trade. If it's like Apex where they don't have like a daily loss limit, it's on the trader to decide what they want to lose. Then if it does go down, say you have your 50K account, your daily loss limit is 2,500 bucks. Say it goes down to 2,500 bucks and say you hit 2,400, you're negative 2,400, or sorry, 2,600, and then it will close your account. That's what it does. Just deactivates it, closes it, and then you just have to either reset or buy a new one, whatever it is. But yes, they close it for you. But there's never like, oh, you have $100 left, they're going to close it. No, it's up until you get past that point. Because who knows? Maybe you'll snipe an entry, then get it off that ledge. But no, I have never heard of anyone being closed because they're still above their max loss limit, but they're close. As long as you don't hit that threshold, you're good. As far as trade coverage across different firms, I have the only one I've ever used is Replicanto, and I will say lately it seems to have some issues, so I've kind of like stayed away from it. I don't know what's going on with it at the moment because a few months ago it was great, and then I've used it here recently, and it just seemed to have a lot of glitches. So I've kind of stayed away from it. I've just been using individual firms within Trade honestly, is what I've been using that way. But if I'm trading on Top Step, I have to use Project X now and things like that. But those are the only ones that have those are the only ones that I've messed with really is Replicanto. And volatility is killer with features. Well, actually, with volatility comes opportunity. I understand it's killer, but if you have a plan, it's a large opportunity. You just have to know what to look for. So if there's large volatility, say there isn't, you need a setup, right? If there's large volatility and you have your setup and you know there's gonna be large volatility, you could just decrease your position size. Like if you're usually trading the regular ES, go down to micros, but trade only a few micros. Like there's adjustments you can make along the way. And if you are trading currently and say volatility is there and you're not comfortable trading larger contracts, go to micros and trade a smaller amount. So that's something to kind of think about there. All right. Going through the stuff. Oh, hold on. I just see another question here. All right. Showtime 2009. Hey, I appreciate you watching on YouTube. I really do. So, do I have trouble with my self-control trading funded accounts? Or did I just start off consistent and seek up? No, I don't have problem with self-control. And a lot of it is, well, I'll say it will come from discipline. Like if you know how much you're willing to risk, then like you need to establish how much your daily loss limit is and then build from there. And as long as you have that risk, me personally, once I get to that point, if I do trade again personally, I feel like almost like guilty. And I have a whole thought process on like you need to practice discipline outside of trading in order to bring it into trading, but that's a whole other conversation. But to answer your questions, um, I didn't have trouble to self control my trading accounts, and then just started off consistent. I will say I did start this off consistent, but I had experience trading. I've already. It's not like I was brand new and just hopped in. You know what I mean? So there's that variable there. But I do have a specific daily loss limit. Is there enough volatility in futures outside the normal market hours for those that work 9 to 5? I'm if you're an individual that has uh, a 9 to 5 job, say there's an issue, which is probably very common for a lot of y'all. That is okay. So if I have to trade early, like right, so you could trade either in the evening or early morning, right? So something to think about for me personally, if I'm going to trade early, I will look at gold because the overseas markets are going to move the market around, or even oil because oil moves all over the place. So instead of trading the indexes, I will look at the commodities because those are already moving around from the markets, the European markets moving things around. So if you have that kind of obligation, then you could use these same tools, but look in a different product. And oil is a very clean trade. I love trading oil. As long as there's a good setup. Gold, you do kind of have to like stay on your toes, but oil is a very clean trade as long as you know what to look for. So type of volatility indicator. No, I can't. Well, a volatility indicator would be the VIX. Is the VIX spiking? Is it higher than it was normally? Like if you could see the VIX spiking, saying that volatility is increase, in fact, going up, and if that's the case, then you can kind of know how to adjust yourself from there. And usually volatility comes in from news, and there is an economic calendar that I talk about that you can look at that shows you like, hey, during these times, I don't want to be in a trade because volatility is going to come in. It may go in your favor, or it may actually just knock you out. So there's things like that to kind of help you know where to go. All right, if you never traded futures, Sunny, okay, what are my suggestions for someone new and how long? To be honest, as futures used to I used to be nervous on it. I'm like, oh man, futures kind of like seems scary. To be honest, they're just like trading stock. You buy something, it's going to go up. It's going to go up in value. You short something, it's going to go down. It's going to go up in value, or your position is going to go up in value, anyways. Well, the only thing like you really need to be aware of is like one thing that probably most people think of is contract rolls or even looking at the tick value. Once you get like you understand like contract rolls and tick values, after that it's just like trading anything else. Like it sounds scary, but once you learn that, it's really just that's all it is really. There's no everything else is pretty much status quo, really. Like it doesn't there's no other hurdles, I should say. Does that make sense? That's pretty much there. Yes, you can start as an individual. You do not need an LLC. You do not need an LLC. You do not. You start as an individual. The only reason I traded as a business is because that is something that the other firm kind of like they kind of coach you to do it, and that's the reason why I hopped on that route. But no, absolutely, you don't. I wouldn't even think about doing that until you've already proven yourself. Do a regular individual trader. The business side of it, don't worry about it till you've proven to yourself that you've been consistent. Other than that, just trade normal. No, nothing. Really you need to go outside of that realm until it's necessary. All right, is that it? Did we get all of y'all? All questions have been answered. Of course, let's see. All right. I see you, David Turner. Is that the David Turner I know? Probably like yes. We'll see. I'll text you. Okay, I'm making sure I'm missing anything here. 1 to 3. Do I aim for risk reward 1 to 3? No, I don't. I don't really aim for a risk reward. I have a I see support and resistance where I expect price to potentially go. However, I also trail my stop, and then I also look to lock it up at certain points. But I have no because I know some traders like hold on, like I must get like 3 to 1 risk reward. No, sometimes that's not going to happen, and that's okay. But that is kind of like how I don't look for that. I let the setup tells me how far I expect it to go. The risk reward is not going to care. The market doesn't care what my risk reward is. The market's going to tell you where you should be taking profits. It doesn't matter what you want. It doesn't matter your risk reward. If everyone cared about 1 to 10 risk reward, you're never going to get your profit goal because it's going to potentially flip on you or it's going to take too much time, things like that. And then actually, there are no swap fees because that's a forex thing. There are no swap fees and a CFD thing. There is no. These are straight futures, so there is no swap fees. I use, as far as accounts go, Sunny, or sorry, Sunny, but Shiny Object. I use 100K accounts and 50K. That's kind of like my bread and butter. The 50K, 100Ks. Every once in a while, I'll do the 150Ks. But anything above that, kind of like it's kind of like I don't do very well with. I guess because I like to catch the momentum and ride it, and I could if I wanted to, but to me, like that's where I jive the best at is anywhere from the usually 100 to 50K accounts. And then how on trade of it, how do I set my stop loss? I just go to, like if I'm long, I'll go to the ask and I'll just right click and then put my stop order there. That's all it is. I don't, and then I'll just trail it up as it goes. And then do I use Tradevate and I teach you how to use it? Sure. I mean, to me, it's pretty self-explanatory as far as how to use Tradevate. I will show you how I use Tradevate. I actually just use the domes. That's it. It's just see the domes of the bid and ask on 4 products going up and down. And so I just click and get in. That's all I use. Uh, but for me, that's all I use. It's relatively easy at that point. And then for some of the answers, sometimes I have 20, 25, other times I have fewer. Is it eventually those accounts crashed out? Yes, actually it is. Yes. So, so once you take a payout, right, they take it down, and then eventually, sometimes, you just don't see the market, and then those intraday drawdowns sometimes hit you, and then it just kind of like you lose the account, and then I just buy more for my profits, and I go again. Absolutely, yeah. That's why sometimes it's more. As of right now, like the reason why those examples were actually like, oh, this is on 4 account or yeah, 5 accounts and things like that, is because I quit using the trade copier. Those are all from different firms, so I have to, since I'm no longer using Replicanto, I have to trade firms individually because I was having like issues with it. Like what I mean by issues is I would get into a position and then like it would say I'm flat, but yet again my P&Ls going crazy, and it was just becoming a lot to mess with. And so now that's why some are more and some are less because I'm not using the multi-firm uh, copier. It's more of single firm trade copier through TradeAvate basically, or Project X from Top Step. Oh yeah, absolutely. I can show you how to showing how to do a stop loss. Absolutely, that's not a problem. I've even now lately been using stop orders to get me into position. It's really, I'll talk about it in the class, but I've been doing this and it's made my probability of success go up even more. If anyone that's been trading live with me the last few months here lately, we've been using this different technique where we let the market get us in. And absolutely, I'll show you use a stop order. You'll see me how I do it, and it's been fantastic actually. And then if you have questions on Tradevate, I mean, I'll be more than happy to answer some things in our live trading, but if you need a solid tutorial, I promise you, if you look on YouTube, there are going to be a ton of more in-depth videos. That way, whenever we go trading, we can focus on the strategy, and I'm not showing you how to use your tool. So you can YouTube Tradevate. I'm sure Tradevate has tutorials on how to use their product. I will show you how I do it. How I do it is really just click, like I see buy, sell. That's really all I do. But if you're needing more training on it, by all means, go ahead and look on the uh, sorry, YouTube it. Sorry. I do in that Ultimate Funded Trader course that's free that comes with the bundle. I do show you how to set up the trade copier and Tradevate on there and Project X. So that if you're wondering about setting up the trade copier, that video is in there as well. And then how many screens I trade with? I trade with 2. And it's usually only one has a chart open. The other one is usually just like the chat room that I'm talking with. So I only have one with my trading stuff, and the other one is so I can see what people are asking and talking about. So Idaho Bruce, I do have one setup that I look for in the afternoon. Say you have a busy morning and you can't trade in the afternoon, or sorry, you can't trade in the morning, but you can only hit in the afternoon. There is a one afternoon setup that I do look for. It's I even cover, I think, in that funded trader course actually, but it happens, if it's going to happen, it happens around noon ish. Let's see, answer there. A trailing threshold is your trailing loss, Kurt. All right, scrolling down. Let's see. No, you do not have to trade every day. And then I see a lot of questions here about the indicators. Okay, so the indicators come with the class, so everyone is aware. So let me go back. Sorry, I guess I should have put on this here earlier. All right. So what you are getting is you'll get the class, and then you'll get the indicator bundle and live trading with me. So class, live trading, and the indicator bundle. No matter what, you're getting the indicator bundle. And no matter what, you're getting the class, basically. The only difference here is some people already have the indicator set up. And I'm all about like loyalty and whatnot. So some people actually already have it and been using it. And so that's the only difference there. No matter what, the class and live trading and indicators will be in your hand if you wish to join along with me in any way. And also another thing about this, another thing about this trading setup, say you're not all about futures, but I meant to mention this, but this setup works on options as well. Like you see the same setup and features, like instead of like if I go this way, let's look at an example here. So this right here, you could trade it on a higher time frame if you wanted, and you could swing SPX options into the next day if you wanted, things like that. Like these setups, like if you're trading ES, all you do is trade SPX, or you chart on ES, you even chart on SPX really if you wanted, but you won't be able to have VWAP though. But from there is it's interchangeable across all the products. Like if you'd rather trade options, you can do that. That kind of takes away from the funded trader part of it, but the setup is interchangeable across all the products. You even trade stocks with it as well. So just wanted to go ahead and point that out to y'all as well. My win rate is about 65% there, Mary. I'll put that here. Okay. And see if I'm missing y'all. Do I use inverse ETFs to guide my entries? I do not. I feel like I'm already looking at enough. So I don't really use the inverse ETFs because if the inverse SPY is going down, then I'm gonna expect the ES to go up anyways. And if they're always fluctuating, I don't know. To me, it's always like who's chasing what. For me, for simplicity, and I think to have a successful trading plan and strategy, it also needs to be simplistic. And so no, I do not um, do that to answer your question there. I think I'll just get confused looking at too many things. All right, so going through here. Going through. Am I giving away Apex is what I prefer? I'm actually not prop firm specific, Kyle. It's just what I was able to get a lot of. And so that's what it is. And I will say, out of all of my trading, I make my most from Apex. Apex is my high risk, high reward type of trading firm because you have your chance to make a lot of money with them. However, they do have the most firms. And it's a great way to really go from 0 to 100 really quick. However, there is a risk involved. But Apex has been great with me. I've never had a problem with them. And I don't know, I dig them. And then can you sign up next week, Monday or Tuesday, and still get the free accounts? I cannot guarantee that. No, I cannot guarantee that. I'm going through the check, going through questions. I usually start looking at the market about 8:20. That's usually when I go live, 8:20 in the morning. All right, going through. How many trades I take in a day? Depends on the setups. Like you can't come into the market with those type of expectations. Like I'm only going to take, like I will say I do have like a 5 trade max. If I take 5 trades and I'm still in the red, then it's probably a day that the market's not jiving with me and I should probably leave it alone and walk away. But I never walk like I'm only going to take this. Typically, if I had to average it and answer your question, it might be 2 to 3. There are days where I hit it on the first trade and I am done and I am out. So I'd say probably 2 to 3, but I do have a 5 trade where I'm like, you know what, I'm probably not jiving right now with the market, and I close it and walk away. Would I recommend? No, like the because of no consistency in daily payout. No, it's that is trader's preference there, Shiny Object. I don't. It to me, it's all the same. Like, okay, would I recommend take profit trader because of no consistency in daily payout? However, they have intraday drawdown. Apex rules that can deny you. Any firm can deny you. It happens actually. But if you follow the rules, and you'll have no problem. And as long as you're following a strategy, it would be uh, you're following a strategy and you're following the rules. And then I will say, like I mentioned, make sure you're aware of the rules of a firm. Every firm has different rules, and there is a firm for everybody. If you prefer Take Profit Trader, by all means go to Take Profit Trader. If you want to go to Apex, try out Apex. If you want Tradeify, do Tradeify. Like there is a million and one flavors out there. Just go ahead and pick one that jives with you best. And let's see what else. I don't know. So I do want to ask y'all, for those of you that are actually still with me, I don't know. Y'all excited? Does this make sense? Are you interested? Like like honest opinion, honest feedback. Like, are you like, no, this is kind of like over my head, or this is dumb? Like, what do you think? How long have prop firms been around? They've been around forever. They've been around forever. It's just that they're just now catching the cost of entry as into the market has significantly decreased from all this. But I will say prop firms have been around forever. This isn't new. What's new is, like, for me, when I talk about my first time becoming a prop trader, I had to pay $6,000 just to step my foot in the door. I had to trade. I went through an educational course. I had to go through their curriculum. I had to trade. They teach you 8 specific strategies. I had to trade each strategy 250 times. Then I had to journal every single trade. Then they reviewed those. That was in a trade simulator. They had this program that took all the charts of the last 20 years, changed the price, took the ticker away, and I just traded pure price action. So he did that. And then after that, you had to trade for 3 months paper trading, and you had to journal it all to prove you could be consistent. And then you got evaluated, and then you got to go ahead and see if you're going to get your hands on life capital. But now it's like, oh, pay $50. We don't know if you're going to make it or not because they don't educate you. They don't do anything. Like it's just they're allowing, I guess, YouTube to train people. But that's the difference now. But platform's been around forever. It's just the older versions gave you education for success. Now it's like, hey, figure it out on yourself, but it's cheaper. I guess I don't know. I will say that course set me up for success, and here I am now. So I mean, I can't hate on it too much, right? So I'm doing Apex on Trade and Tops on Project X. Since you have manually get it done, how am I doing this? I just trade the individual ones. Like today, say I see a setup, I trade it on my Apex accounts. And I'm like, hey, the market's still moving. I'll close that one down, and then I'll have my top step ones up. And then I'm like, all right, if I see a setup, then cool, I trade it. And then I'll have both traded. I don't have to trade every account every day. It's just like, hey, the market's still moving. I hit my profit goal here. Cool. I'm gonna pull up this one. Or even it also works if you, like, say you hit your daily loss limit on another account, you're like, okay, I don't want to risk this one anymore. I want to go trade this one, and you're still in the game. Not everything has to go so simultaneous, right? So you just break it up like that. Hit my daily loss here. All right, cool. Well, I want to go trade this one. And the rules aren't actually that like complicated, to be quite honest. Like, as long as you have a very systematic way. You know when you're getting in, you know where you're getting out. It's really not that hard. Like, I know if you've been tracking social media, you'll see some people getting paid denied, getting denied payouts, and then you'll be like, okay, well, show us the trades you were taking, but no one ever shows us. Like, as soon as people start asking that, no one steps up. Like, no one has ever proved they were wrongfully denied. It's just people claim they're being denied on social media, trying to get stuff reinstated, when in fact it was never. They were in the wrong anyways. It's very interesting how, like, the next world of scammers are really people trying to rip off these prop firms. That's really what it is. That's why there's consistency rules, because you can't come in and just YOLO a huge trade and then like, oh yeah, I want to get a payout on that when you got lucky. It's hard to hit a lot of big trades consistently. That's how you know who's really trading and who's just YOLOing long and short in different places. That is all. Or how. All right, cool. Join Test Awesome. Are you using the auction method there? Okay, nothing wrong with that. I mean, I see the question about the indicators. You don't have to use them. Sure, I guess you don't have to use them. But however, that's what I'm going to be using when I'm trading live with y'all. If you don't want to use them, say you just want to kind of see what I'm doing and using your own thing. Well, I mean, there was actually quite a few traders that trade with me the last few months, and like I'm trading my way, and they kind of like had their own, and we all kind of just like I don't know, hung out and traded really. So yeah, like if you wanted to hang out and just trade your own thing, by all means, have at it. Like nothing about that. I normally trade the 1 to 2 minute, Donna. 1 to 2 minute, probably 2 minute more. The 2 minute offers less shakeouts or false moves. So that's kind of like what I stick to there. All right, looking through. Lex, Rinko, and Sierra. Right on. Can you use? Well, if you're charting on Sierra, then I'm not sure. If I like for me, if I have to, I will chart on TradingView, but then just execute on Tradeovate. Like it's like so many people or I say traders like expect this part right here. Like, say this is my chart. Like you don't have to execute here. Like on another screen or whatever, or another window, you could execute your trades there and just chart on this, right? So there's a lot of ways you kind of move around there. Is this for beginners or is it better for people that are more familiar with this stuff? That's a fantastic question. And I will say beginners could easily do this. In fact, beginners might be actually better because you don't have bad habits yet. That means you have a fresh, clean slate. Um, my 7-year-old, he's been like into trading here lately, which is interesting, but I'm all for it. And I'm kind of like teaching him this strategy, and he's getting a jive with it. And it's very interesting because I working with Simpler for a while now. I won't say a long time, what 3, 4 years. And everyone has an idea of trading, but every time they come, you try to talk them the way you're seeing things. However, they already have their own mental game plan, right? But when you have a clean slate, it's very interesting. It seems to be absorbed so much more. So if you're new, I definitely think it is a great starting point, as this will build you from the ground up. But um, yeah, I think I'll be fine there. Let's see what else. No, y'all done? No more? I talked y'all off? All right. Well then, I'll give y'all guys 30 more seconds to see if one last question pops up, and then I will just go ahead and end it at that if all your questions are asked. Yeah, roughly 65. Sometimes more. It really depends what's kind of going on. And also, the stats are kind of skewed because I'll scale into a trade. Like, say I'm in, and then my wave it breaks here, then I'm going to add to it. It kind of it calculates it differently. The systems do simply just because it doesn't add it as one whole trade, but that's kind of like what it says online or on the thing. But because I scale in with one, and then I'll add another one, and I'll kind of let it go up from there. And let's see, stocks. These are all futures, Eric. And a one-time fee per account is a monthly. So, Alex, that's a great question. So, most firms, it is a subscription, like a monthly fee. However, usually you're funded within a month. I don't know. Whenever I first started doing this, I was like, hey, at least I'm funded in a month. And 30 days is a long, or 21 trading days is a long time to hit those profit goals. And you theoretically should be able to do it. However, where they are subscription based, there is some where if you do a straight to funded purchase, like those with what's a straight to funded, if you're unaware, they are, you can pay a fee, right? Just like an evaluation, except it's basically the cost of two evaluations. So like if you're willing to pay for two evaluations up front, then you're already straight funded. There's no evaluation, you're already funded, and you hit the ground running from there. Those ones are a one-time fee, and that's it. But whenever it's an evaluation, there is like a monthly fee, like a subscription type of thing for the most part. Just be aware whenever you're signing up and you're shopping around between all of the different firms out there. Just know what you're kind of getting involved with. Ken, that's a very interesting. I want to address that there. So, what is the financial health of these prop firms? It is difficult to understand how Apex they pay out so much monthly. Let's massive. There are a massive amount. It's more than just people failing, Ken. Like it's also people gambling. Not everyone is trying to trade. Everyone's just trying to gamble it. A few months ago, Apex revealed how much they're making a month. They're making 13 to $15,000 a month. A month. And that's just too many people maxing out credit cards trying to come into the market without a plan. That's the thing. You need a plan. And that's kind of like what I'm offering here. I'm offering you a plan to help you not become one of those things there. And that's how basically how they get money, 13 to $15 million a month off of that. Every man, I'd love to see you there on Saturday. Love to hear it. I trade, Eric, anything from the indexes to oil and gold. The class is going to be about strategy. Well, usually minis. But that depends on the account size. You can trade anything you want. It's like everyone. So this whole prop firm game isn't like a one size fits all. There isn't. It depends on your account size, what you're trading, what the market's doing. There's more fluidity to this than just like a robot. Like you have to think. If it could just be as simple as just like going beep, burp, burp, or whatever, like a robot, then I think a lot more people will be successful. But there is some intuition, some analysis, some adjustments that have to be made on the fly in order to survive. And that's kind of like what I'm trying to pass to y'all. I don't have a preference. It depends on the setup. Whatever has the best setup, I trade the setup. So it's the setup that makes you money. It's not the index or the futures product you're trading. You could trade micro Bitcoin futures. Trade the micros on it. I think the margin is way too high for the full size for the Big Daddy, but I'm pretty sure you can say I've seen Top Step offer micro Bitcoin to trade. Would it work with short setups? Oh yeah, I short all the time. In fact, I love short setups. They work fast. Yeah, it's not liquid. That's why I don't really focus on it. That's why I just focus on the six things. Mainly, like if I had to really look at it, like, okay, what am I really trading? It's mainly oil, NQ, and ES. Those are my three main ones, usually. Because those are usually the ones that the market's moving around with. What type of Apex account that I'm offering that is free? Uh, any. Any account is free. And let's see. Any account. Choice is yours. Risk to reward ratio depends on the setup there, Eric. It depends. It depends. I like that's the thing. That the way you're asking these questions is exactly what I've been trying to address this whole time. You're like, what's risk reward? What's win rate? What's this? Those are your standard trading questions. You have to think outside of that box. You're stuck in that box. We got to get out of it. You know, sometimes the risk reward is 1 to 1. Sometimes it's 1.5. Sometimes it's 3. Like you have to let the setup guide your risk to reward, not some number you're saying you want and just run with it. Like, you know what I mean? So you have to be fluid with it and let the market tell you what it's willing to give you versus what you think you, I don't know, should have or deserve or anything like that. All right, looking. All right. Yes, that's all of them there. All right, I've been going for almost an hour and a half. Simplify to you as well, sir. All right, cool. I will go ahead and leave it at that. And do you have to have a business or no, you could do it all by your like you be individual. Zoom user. Yeah, be individual. Yes, Bill in Connecticut, they do allow you to scale in and out. Absolutely. In fact, I scale in and out. That's the best way to do it. But like I said, you don't need to trade as a business, just trade as individual. If you get to that highly consistent area, then you could talk about doing the business side of it, but you do not have to start that way. In fact, I don't think it's necessary until you prove you can do it consistently. Then you can worry about having to jump through all those hoops to set up the business. Thanks, Mary. Steve D, looking forward to hanging out with you as well. Thank you, Alan. Really does mean a lot. All right, cool. And let's see, do I have to have a brokerage account? No, so the prop firm, Dr. Bob, gives you an account. So so let's just say that. So say you go to say you got this free account, right? Let's just say you got to Apex or whatever. You bought an account. It could be Tradeify, anyone. You buy an account. When you purchase this evaluation or whatever account you're doing, or straight to fund or whatever, it's going to give you, and say you choose Tradeivate as an example. It's going to give you Tradeivate login, the username, and a Tradeivate password. So then you go to Tradeivate and then you use that username and password that the firm gave you and you log in that way. So you don't have to have your own account with these brokerages or anything like that. Though the firm will give you it. You don't have to have your own account. It will give it to you all. So you do not need it. Of course. Thank you for hanging out. I love the questions. You had some good ones. See, can I anybody right now? The wait is long. Okay, sign up. Okay, help you out there. Awesome. Thank you, everyone. For TradingView, Thomas. Okay, so you don't have a TradingView account and recommendations of getting set up. So to get set up, I do have the premium version, and then I pay for the live data on the futures products. So that's all I pay for. And yeah, basically that's all I use there for TradingView. The offer, John, as far as all this right here, as I believe, well, I believe I have a webinar next week, but as far as the 70 free accounts, that I cannot guarantee. But this may say the same, may not. On these prop firm trading accounts, do you have to come up with your own trading strategies? Manning, what do you mean? And yes, Kenneth, this is recorded. And then Dr. Bob, can you connect your trading view chart? Oh, yes, absolutely. I actually execute on Tradeivate and I have it form, like I show my entries and exits on TradingView so the viewers can see it. So yes, you can log into your Tradeivate account on TradingView. Yes, if you have it that way. Yes. And then as far as the account question, Manny, no, you don't have to come up with your own. You just have to have your own trading plan, really. But right here, I'm offering a strategy that I personally use, that I use with all these firms without an issue. But do you have to like write it up like a like actually a physical trading plan type of thing? No, you do not. They should, but they don't. That's what I do with that other firm. You literally, I think it was like 89 pages long, but I went into too much detail, to be quite honest. You're welcome, Dr. Bob. Thank you for all your questions and hanging out with me on this lovely night. All right, cool. All right. I will end it at there for about an hour and a half. Okay, so I'd like to say once again, thank you all for hanging out with me. It was really great. I love the questions. Hopefully you're excited about this. This is really a life-changing opportunity. And for me, like it was never about, I'll probably never like have a Lambo, which is like, it's okay. Like my goal is to be home, live life how I want, and be there with my family. Because in the end, time is really the only valuable asset we have. And I want to help you get that and take the most of it. Get away from do your quick trades, get away from the charts, have your bills paid, and live your best life. So, like I said, thank you again, everybody. Have a fantastic evening, and I'll catch y'all later. Take care, everybody.